Texas Governor Greg Abbott not backing down as he continues to bus migrants from the southern border to sanctuary cities in the Northeast. Leaders there are pleading for more federal help. In New York City, hundreds of new arrivals lining up for health care, food, school supplies, and cell phones. The New York Post summing it up with this headline, "Land of the Free." New Yorkers who will be stuck with this tab are split.
Teach them how to work or something. But don't let somebody get a free ride on the taxpayer.
I'm not sure I'm actually agreeing with that, because obviously it ends up on taxpayers to have to, foot the bill.
I mean, you got homeless people that live here that should be taken care of before, I think, the immigrants that are coming in here.
When people are in need, you have to pull the stops to give them what they want and what is necessary for them to survive.
Jason Rantz is here, Seattle radio talk show host. It's only a few hundred people, or several hundred, and New York can't handle that without more federal aid?
Well, let's just call this what it is. It's xenophobia, right? I mean, that's what we were told under the Trump administration when states and cities came out, these leaders saying, hey, we are sanctuaries. You come here, and if you don't support this, well, you are xenophobes. You hate people who don't look like you. Okay, well, let's call it out then in the exact same way. These are New Yorkers who are Democrats who are actually the ones who are the xenophobes. And let's remember that the people who right now are taking care of the vast majority of illegal immigrants are Republicans. These are Republican cities, usually much smaller than New York City, who are bearing the burden of everything that comes with housing so many people. So let's just acknowledge that. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of being lectured by folks on the left about how we're the ones who lack compassion. When you guys on the left in New York are saying we can't handle a couple hundred people.
In terms of lacking compassion, look no further than the crime crisis in big blue cities. New York City, for one, the sucker punch suspect and convicted sex offender is once again behind bars for violating his parole. There was massive outrage last week when this career criminal walked free after he was caught on camera attacking a man who is finally off a ventilator in the hospital. This perp was released, no bail, when his charges were downgraded from attempted murder. New York's Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul taking credit for his recapture. Republican City Councilman Joe Borelli saying not so fast.
Well, the governor is absolutely delusional if she thinks she deserves some kind of pat on the back or victory lap for putting this guy in jail, or at least directing the NYPD and parole officers to do that. This is a career criminal, someone who's the worst of the worst sex offender. This is someone who is a bad man. And Democratic Party here in New York State has given us these bail reform laws. They're responsible. Kathy Hochul is responsible for the problem, not the solution here.
And more dramatic videos showing the out-of-control crime crisis taking over the Big Apple. A pack of muggers pushing two young teens downstairs of an apartment building Saturday, slashing them and robbing them. The victims were only 16 years old. Kathy Hochul puts this one perp back in jail. What about the scores and scores, hundreds and hundreds of people who are out no bail, who are, and where is she standing up for those assault victims?
Yeah, oftentimes they don't stand up unless they're forced to, because the media actually does its job in a bigger way and covers all of this. Look, at the end of the day, whether it's New York or LA, Seattle, or anywhere else, you commit crimes if you think you can get away with it. So you're not seeing this kind of actions happening in front of cops. But when there are too few cops, when there are prosecutors who are known for going easy on criminals, and then you throw in partisan judges, well, guess what? It makes it very, very easy for degenerates to justify their crimes. And then you add on top of all of this the mentally ill homeless population on the streets. You've got Democrat-run cities that are getting increasingly dangerous with no end in sight. And what's missed in all of this is a bigger conversation, not just on the prosecutors, but also the judges. You've got these criminals who get in front of them. You've got charges that are downgraded. Yeah, you've got some who are released without bail, but you've got situations in which you plead down to these downgraded charges, which means the criminal sees little to no jail time. A judge can reject those pleas in many of these cases, and they choose not to because they're just as partisan as a lot of these prosecutors.
Also in Seattle, You were in Seattle. Firefighters are demanding that the city take action after at least 40 reported assaults on firefighters since May. The firefighters union head saying that the attacks have largely been carried out by the city's homeless population. Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. The homeless population here is allowed to pretty much get away with anything it wants to. And so you've got these encampments that grow and grow and grow. They're dangerous. They sometimes catch on fire. You send firefighters down and they end up getting attacked by these belligerent homeless folks who are better suited to be in shelter and in treatment for mental health issues and addiction crises. And the problem here, again, is that we don't have enough officers to send immediately with a lot of the firefighters who are out in the field. And so what ends up happening is that you have a larger possibility that someone ends up dying because the firefighters can't get there in time, or at least can't get to the location in a safe way. We've seen this happen before.
I want to get to this topic as well. A new survey shows that 62% of current college students who identify as Democrats say they would never share a dorm room with a supporter of former President Trump. That's more than double the percentage of Republicans unwilling to room with Biden voters. I guess, so enjoy your $250,000 bubble that you get to live in for 4 years. If you're a liberal.
And then have Democrats pay for it, of course. So this tells me two things. Number one, it reminds us that younger folks are just ideological bigots, and we have to do a better job of explaining to them why that's the wrong thing. And number two, the Republicans in particular have to do a better job of reaching out to young folks. This is not acceptable. We would never say that this is acceptable. And we'll note that it's the Republicans who say, yeah, I don't care who we room with as long as they're a good person.
Yeah, and fun. I mean, everybody knows how to fun when you're 18. When you're 18, please. That's what people are going to be worried about. Jason Rantz, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.